Peace and light, family. I hope you all are well. I wanted to record this quick video about some myths and misconceptions of Freeform Locs, and just to answer some of the questions that I frequently get. So really quickly, myths and misconceptions about Freeform Locs. A lot of people assume that Freeform Locs are supposed to show up and appear. This is my niche. You cannot grab the phone, dude. A lot of people assume that locks are supposed to show up as big, huge Congo locks, right? Freeform locks. And freeform locks are not always huge Congo locks. I'm a pure freeformer through and through. I started June of 2014, never combed, brushed, or cultivated my locks in any type of way. And this is how my locks appear. I have some thinner locks. I have some thicker locks. And it's just how it is. Like, this is just how my locks are. I do not separate my locks. That's another question I get quite often. Do I separate? I do not separate. My first set of locks were huge Congo locks. I started out with a fro, my first set. So when my fro kinked up and naturally separated on its own, it turned out to be big, huge Congo locks. But now... She's reaching for the phone. But now with this set, I started from bald, and I noticed from the very beginning that my hair is separated very much smaller than my first set. And you'll notice if you are a freeformer or you're considering freeforming, your hair will naturally separate on its own. You do not have to do anything to separate your hair. You don't have to party. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. But it'll naturally separate on its own. So freeform locks do not have to show up as huge Congo locks. Say hey. Freeform locks do not have to show up as huge Congo locks. They can show up and appear in many different ways. I noticed something that I find, I don't know if this is fact, but something that I find to be true is that usually people with like finer hair, like 3C, 4A hair, their hair usually separates much smaller, and their locks usually are a tad bit smaller than the other freeformers locks who may have like a 4B or 4C hair texture. And that's just how it is. It also usually takes longer for the hair to actually lock. For example, my hair, I started from bald, so as my hair was growing in, I noticed that my sides were locking up faster than my top. Like my top was definitely like taking a long time to lock, and that's just how it was. But I was very patient, didn't do anything to it, and eventually it locked up. After about my first year, I can say that I really had like a head full of separated and divided locks. Like you can look and tell that I was locking. In the very beginning, there was a lot of like people being like, "Girl, what you got going on, sis? Like, what you doing, sis? Is that?" What's that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? That's how they was doing noodle. What's that? But it was like, what's going on? You know? And I had to explain like, oh, I'm freeforming, and explain what freeforming was. And they really understood. But the point of that is just like, you know, locks show up in different forms, especially freeform locks. So just because, you know, your hair is Congoed, has thicker locks, does not make anyone a better freeformer or more of a freeformer than someone with someone with thinner locks, and vice versa, right? Also, just because you see someone with thinner locks like mine's, it does not mean that they did not freeform or cultivate their locks at all. Something that I'm finding is that a lot of people don't grab the phone. Something that I'm finding is that a lot of people who are freeforming their hair, what they're doing is they are actually cultivating their hair to look more freeform, right? Which is, you know, if we look at the definition of what freeform locks are, from my understanding, freeform locks are supposed to be natural, organic locks that are not cultivated. They're not twisted, interlocked, or anything like that. Something that I find, I see people who want to look like a freeformer, so they use rubber bands and like connect some of their locks with rubber bands so their locks can lock together and look more Congo. Some people who want to look like freeformers, they'll do things to like, they'll like tie their hair up to make their hair stand up. A lot of people, I noticed that from a lot of different people, you know, it was a thing in Florida that I was reading this thing about like, you know, fashion dread. That's what they call like imitation freeformers, fashion dread, or cultivated locks, right? So it was like an article about from a Rasta. He was talking about like fashion dread people, and he was talking about like how he sees a lot of men and women do like using different tactics to make their hair look like freeform locks, but they're not really freeform locks. And I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, you're a freeformer, you're not a freeformer, you're a freeformer, you're not a freeformer. However, the point is just don't judge freeformers based on the look of locks alone, because just because someone has Congo locks and they may have two-headed dragons and stuff like that, that does not mean that they started out as a freeformer at all. That does not mean that they are a freeformer at all. Sometimes they're cultivating their locks to look like that, you know, and just because someone may look like they have cultivated locks does not necessarily mean that they're cultivating their locks. So you never know. I feel like locking should really be a judgment-free zone, and it's an individual journey, you know, so just go about that individual journey. Another misconception about freeform locks that I found is that freeformers, come on up, is that freeformers do not wash their hair. I don't know where that myth came from. I don't know who started that, but I wash my hair once a week. Once a week I wash my hair. I don't know who started that. And actually with freeform locks, the more you wash your hair, the better it is for your locks. So I don't know who said that freeformers don't wash. Right, Noodles said we wash our hair. I don't know who said that freeformers don't wash their hair, but we wash our hair. I think most freeformers do. Speaking for myself, like I said, I wash my hair once a week, at least, you know, and that's important for me. Now, to each its own. If you don't, then you don't, but freeformers do wash their hair. Another misconception that I found is that freeformers are not allowed to cut their locks or trim their locks at all. People ask me all the time, are you gonna let them grow to your ankles? Are you gonna let them? And the biggest thing is I'll let them grow however long they choose to grow. And if I ever choose to cut them, I'm going to cut them. I don't have that attachment to my hair. I've always been very free with hair. So I never had that attachment of like, this is with me for life and, you know, I can't cut it. If I cut it, it's a sin and all of that stuff. And to much respect to the people who do view their hair like that, but it's not that deep for me. I love my crown. I love my locks. But if my spirit ever leads me to remove them, to cut them, to start again, I have no problem with cutting them and starting again. This is my second set of locks. I had, Nudie, you making a lot of noise. Once again, this is my second set of locks. I had freeform locks my first set, and I was led to cut them, and I cut them. I literally woke up out of my sleep and cut my locks when I woke up out of my sleep. So it's not that deep for me that I would feel like I'm going to hell or whatever if I cut my locks. But to each its own. I know some people who do view their locks that way, but that's just not a universal thing. My point is just don't blanket all freeformers or anybody with these universal misconceptions, because no truth is the truth for everybody. Okay, and that's the biggest thing. Understand that no truth is the one truth for everybody, you know. So it may be true for someone else, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true for all freeformers. Okay. A lot of people automatically assume that I'm Rasta. A lot of people assume that, say hey, she's curious. A lot of people automatically assume that I'm Rasta. A lot of people assume that I have this like attachment to my locks, and I'm trying to be like a Bob Marley or whatever. My locks have nothing to do with Bob Marley. I love Bob Marley, but my locks have nothing to do with Bob Marley. I just really always knew that I wanted to freeform. From when I was very young, I used to talk about having freeform locks, and I knew that when I got older, I would eventually just let my hair go and lock my hair. And that's it. So yeah, it's just, don't have these blanket misconceptions about locks. We wash our locks. I have no problem if I ever choose to remove or cut my locks. I definitely will do that. What else? Yes, we like I said, we do wash our hair. I do not separate my hair. My hair just naturally separated on its own like this, and so will yours. Your hair will naturally separate on its own. You do not have to worry about it. Just because someone has Congo locks does not mean that they are a true freeformer. That does not mean that. And also, being organic locks versus whatever else, no one is better than the other. It's about what works for you. So if you're choosing to do cultivated locks, cultivate your locks. That's your business. Don't allow anybody to try to convince you that your locks are less worthy or less organic or whatever because you're cultivating your locks. Just make sure you're using the best products for your hair, making sure you're taking care of your locks, make sure you're maintaining them in a positive way and with good energy. Feed your locks with good energy. Make sure you water them on a regular basis. Your hair is like a plant. Water it on a regular basis. And that's it. Just be positive and speak love and speak life into your crown, because it is truly your crown. Okay? And bedazzle your crown. I have a lot of crystals and stuff in my locks. I choose to do that to protect the energy and to, you know, maintain a positive light. But yeah, that's it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. If you want to DM me on Instagram, DM me. I'm at the Queen Poe on Instagram if you prefer to speak privately about anything. Yeah, I'm going to be doing more videos about like spirit work and stuff, and just like updating y'all on my travels as well. I'm currently in Virginia to see my sister and my brother and my nieces and nephews. This is my baby niece, right? This is my baby niece. And I get to spend a lot of time with her, right? Aren't we excited? She's sleeping. All right, peace and light, y'all. Let me put my baby to sleep. Peace and light.